Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, and today's video will be covering another new Nintendo Switch eShop sale and some massive RPG deals worth buying, so let's get into it. The first game on today's list is Dusk Diver. So Dusk Diver is an anime-style action RPG beat-em-up, and you'll play as a young high school girl Yumo that gains powers to defend the city and become a guardian, and to fight off evil demons that are trying to take over the world. And so the gameplay itself is a 3D beat 'em up meets RPG. And so you'll play as your main character as you go through taking on waves and waves of enemies and evil bosses that are trying to take over the city. But on top of that, you'll be able to call in other characters helping you out along the way to utilize their powers and abilities as you fight off these demons. And so it's a 3D action beat 'em up RPG that kind of has a feel to the latest game in the Tales series, Tales of Arise, where you can call in those other characters to help out. And so throughout the game, you have the main storyline as you progress, but also some different side quests you can take on to unlock new abilities for your characters. And it also has a social relationship building element similar to games like Persona and the Fire Emblem series. And so as those deepen between characters, that can unlock new abilities as well. On top of that, it has a pretty robust level up system where you're able to allocate stats into a variety of different areas for each character, powering them up further and customizing them to your liking. And so if you like action RPGs and beat 'em ups, I definitely recommend checking out this game. The next game on today's list is the Children of Morta Complete Edition. And so Children of Morta is a roguelike action RPG where you'll play as the Bergson family as they try and stop an evil corruption from taking over the land. And so in this game, you can actually play as multiple heroes from the Bergson family. You'll start off with just a few, but over time you'll be able to expand using more members of the family. And each one of these family members really has their own unique play style and set of abilities, where some of them will be more melee focused, others will be kind of like a agile thief using daggers, some of them are more spellcasters, others use bow and arrows and have ranged attacks, and much more. And so as you progress, you'll explore different dungeons, ridding the land of evil monsters and the corruption. And not only will you be able to power up and unlock new abilities for each individual character, you can also power up the family as a whole, which is another cool element. And so the game has really fast-paced combat, and it is a lot of fun switching between characters, and it does kind of have a unique element where characters will get tired, and so you actually need to switch out and use other characters, and so it kind of forces you to try out these new characters and experience the game through their eyes as well. The game also features local co-op, so if you want to take on this game with a friend, that's another option as well. The gameplay is incredibly addicting and a lot of fun, and if you like roguelike action RPGs, I would highly recommend it. The next game on the list is SteamWorld Quest. And so this game is a turn-based RPG meets deck building game. And so you'll actually play as a ragtag bunch of robots that go on a quest to save their world from an evil army. And so as I mentioned, the game incorporates deck building elements with these turn-based RPG elements. And so you'll start with a base deck of cards where each character has their own set of cards that you'll need to choose from. And then when you get into battle and combat, you'll get a random assortment of these cards that you're able to use throughout battle, which will activate your different characters' abilities. And so you'll really need to strategize and choose which cards you're going to use from each character. And each character kind of has their own play style as well within the variety of cards they have. So you might have a mage character, for example, that can unleash powerful spells, but they also might have a series of spells that work to buff your party and debuff enemies. And so you'll maybe want to switch up how their play style is used depending on the other characters you currently have in your team. And so I like that flexibility of it, and it can really allow you to strategize and combine decks of cards from each character to fit your play style and the abilities of the other characters you're using. So I thought that was a lot of fun and really addicting. On top of that, you'll also be able to build out additional cards, and so throughout the game you'll find cards hidden through treasures, you'll be able to purchase new cards, and you can even craft additional cards for your characters as well. It has a fun, humorous story centered around these robots trying to save the world. And if you like turn-based RPGs and deck building games, I would definitely recommend checking this game out. The next game is Fort Triumph. And so Fort Triumph is almost a parody of fantasy games, and the gameplay itself is more of a tactical strategy RPG, similar to games like the XCOM series. And so the game uses a lot of physics-based combat, which is pretty neat, and so you'll definitely need to strategize where your players are at. Really pay attention to the map because it can give you different advantages. You can use obstacles around the map to potentially sabotage the enemies or to boost your character's abilities. And so physics-based combat really plays a big role in this game. It also features a really cool base building mechanic that's similar to classic real-time strategy games from days past, like Command & Conquer and the Warcraft and Starcraft series. On top of that, you have a lot of different classes and character types that you can choose from to build your team. So you have things like humans and goblins and trolls, even the undead. You'll also have a variety of character classes like paladins, rogues, mages, and barbarians. The game even features local co-op, so if you want to take on this strategy RPG with a friend, that's another cool option as well. And so if you're looking for a fun, humorous parody of RPGs and like tactical-based combat, I would definitely recommend this as well. The next game on today's list is Blasphemous. And so Blasphemous is an action, platforming, Metroidvania, Souls-like RPG. And so I kind of feel like they tried to cram every single genre into this game, but it does come out with a great combination and is a lot of fun. And so this game features very dark fantasy tones, as well as some very brutal, tough and challenging combat. And you're really going to need to master your character's abilities of attacking, dodging, and parrying if you hope to survive. The game also has some very impressive pixel graphics that really highlight this dark theme. And so as you explore the land, you'll be trying to rid it of an evil curse that has been corrupting people and leading them to madness. And so you'll face off against some crazy monsters, bloodthirsty enemies and bosses. And again, it does have that Souls-like feel because you'll gain experience as you go, but if you happen to die, you'll have to go back and retrieve that, and eventually you'll be able to use that to power up your character, unlocking skills from a massive skill tree, and also powering up your weapon throughout the game. If you're looking for a tough Souls-like action RPG with some great Metroidvania elements, I would definitely recommend this one as well. The next game on today's list is Elderand. And so this game is another action platforming Metroidvania RPG. And so this time around, the story is a little bit more generic than some RPGs, but you'll play as a lone hero as they try and rid the land of an evil that is corrupting the land. And so you'll need to go on a quest to stop them and root out this evil and to save everyone. And so as I mentioned, it's an action platforming RPG, but what really shines in this game is its overall structure and the different ways that you can build out your character. And so there's a variety of weapon types that you'll find, and I felt like it really changed up the play style of the character. So you've got swords, you've got axes, magic staffs, bow and arrows, and more. And all of those really feel different as the character. On top of that, you'll really be able to customize your character as they level up. And so there's a lot of different stats that you can allocate your points to after you level up, which can really alter the playstyle of your character as well. So there's strength, there's health, there's dexterity and magic that you can choose between. And so you could make your character really robust and have a lot of HP and strength, or you could go for more of a magic build or maybe more of an agility type build. There's really a lot of different options, and it really allows you to fully customize your character to your liking. As I mentioned, the story's not the most amazing thing with this game, but it has solid gameplay. And so again, if you're looking for another fun action RPG with some great Metroidvania elements, this is another one worth checking out as well. The next game on today's list is Dark Deity. And so Dark Deity is a throwback to some classic tactical RPGs, similar to early titles from the Fire Emblem series. And so this time around, you're going to play as a group of students from a military academy as they get pulled out of the academy early and thrown into a war that the kingdom is now a part of. And so like I mentioned, it features classic tactical combat where you'll control a variety of hero types, Some of them are sword wielders, others use bow and arrows, others are mages or healers throughout your team. And so the game itself is a little bit more linear, but you'll be able to choose from a variety of heroes to bring in each mission. And as they level up, they have a variety of class change options that they can go through as well. On top of that, there's more of a relationship, social type builder throughout the game, similar to Fire Emblem titles, where you'll be able to unlock interactions between heroes depending on how close they are. And so there's definitely a lot of backstory in that aspect of the game where you can explore each of the characters' intricate stories between each other. And the levels are pretty challenging as well. I think there'll be some definite replay value with this game because, as I mentioned, you're only allowed to bring so many characters on each mission. So if you want to explore all the different branching classes for each character, I think you'll probably play through the game multiple times to experience all that. It has some really cool pixel art style, but also some great anime style artwork as well between the cutscenes. And so if you like classic tactical RPGs, this game is definitely worth checking out as well. The next game on today's list is Dreamscaper. And so in this game, you'll follow Cassidy, a young girl that has recently left her hometown after a huge tragedy and is trying to start over and rebuild a new life. And so the game itself is a roguelike action RPG dungeon crawler, and you actually split your time between the real world and the dream world. And so in the real world, you're trying to build this new life, make connections, develop new friendships. And in doing so, you'll actually be able to use those friendship bonds to power up your character. And so each one of the different bonds between the townspeople kind of give your character unique properties and boosts throughout your runs. And you'll be able to level that up and power that up over time as you develop relationships with each one of the characters throughout the world. On top of that, you'll dive into the dream world at night to kind of fight your internal demons. And so this is the roguelike element where you'll be exploring dungeons and trying to defeat your inner demons. And so you'll face off against your inner demons like fear, isolation, and regret, which take the form of boss fights throughout the game. And so I thought that was really cool. And on top of that, your character's a little bit nerdy, so you'll be able to unlock new powers as you go through the runs. And a lot of these reference different video games and pop culture elements, which I think is really cool. And I also feel like the story gets pretty deep because it deals with things like isolation, fear, regret, internal demons, and much more. And so I like that element of the game as well, kind of taking that real world approach. But if you like addicting gameplay and fun RPG elements, I would definitely recommend checking this one out as well. The next game on the list is Eldest Souls. And so this game is an action RPG that features more of a boss rush gameplay mechanic. And you'll play as a hero that's taking on evil gods that have been rampaging and destroying the world. And so again, you really go from boss to boss throughout this game in challenging, fast-paced combat, but you'll also be able to unlock a massive skill tree for your character throughout your different runs. And so there's kind of different modes that your character can be in. And so while the game isn't incredibly long, there's really only about 10 bosses that you're going to go against. I do think it does have that replay value because you can experience the game through each playstyle for your character. So if you're looking for a fun action RPG boss rush game, I'd recommend this one as well. The final game on today's list is South Park: The Stick of Truth. Now this game is a hilarious crossover of the South Park show and a turn-based RPG. And so in this game you actually play as the new kid to South Park. And on your first day in town, you get roped into and invited to join the role-playing LARP session of the other South Park kids in town. And so there's two warring factions that are battling over the all-powerful Stick of Truth. And that's really where you're thrown into this game. And so when you start off, you'll build out your character and develop your new kid persona. And you'll team up with other South Park characters and their variety of job classes that they have. So you'll have rogues, you'll have mages and paladins and more that you can team up with. And the one thing I really like about this game is there's a great blending of the South Park show, but it also has really fun RPG mechanics as well. And so it kind of feels like you're playing out a season of the show taking place in this over-the-top South Park RPG world. There's actually a really robust level up mechanic as well that features your popularity on social media, which is funny. And as usual, you'll get sucked into some crazy storyline elements that fits right into the South Park universe. It has voice acting right out of the show. And if you like RPGs and if you like South Park, I highly recommend checking out this game. It's a lot of fun. But again, that wraps up our list of 10 new great RPG deals in this latest Nintendo Switch eShop sale. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. And if you're going to pick up any of these games or have played them before, let us know your thoughts on them in the comments below. And if you'd like to help support the channel, pick out content and more, consider becoming a patron of ours at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And another great way you can help support the channel is that we've recently partnered with a game store that you can shop at. So if you want to pick up things like Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic cards, board games, and more, you can actually head to nutmeggames.com/nerdproblemsgaming or use the promo code NERDPROBLEMSGAMING at checkout, and you'll get 10% off your order and help support our channel at the same time. So head there and check that out if you're interested. And if you like videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out, and to make sure you don't miss out on any other future sale videos so you can take advantage of these great deals. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.